So, how is it to have sung in Carnegie Hall and acted alongside of the legendary Armand Assante? All that and more coming up next. All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of Inside Hollywood with Vinny. Today, she's an actress, she's a singer, she's a performing artist. She has sang at Carnegie Hall, and she's most recently worked opposite of the legendary actor from Gotti, Armand Assante, in that wonderful independent movie that I'm a big fan of, from Claudio Bolante, called Don Q. She is originally from China. She's a very intellectual, very masterful, very amazing artist, singer. She does it all. And she also does a great piano, too. She is the one and only Genevieve Shi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vinny. I'm really happy to be here.
It's my pleasure to have you. It's great to have met you not too long ago in the wonderful little Italy of Mulberry Street when we were there for Don Q. And I had a chance to speak with you, and I was very impressed by not just by your performance in the movie, but also just all the different things that you do. And like I said, you're an artist, and we just spoke about how you learned the piano. And you spent a lot of hours as a young child learning that piano, and the opera background. So there's a lot of beautiful things about you that I'd love for my audience to hear about. So with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I feel very blessed to have very untraditional Chinese parents who support me doing art. Like, they never wanted me to pursue anything other than what I truly love. So I listened to like a piano album when I was little, and that was my gateway into music. And then I fell in love with opera in high school, so I started formally classical training in my voice. And then I came to New York because I wanted to do musical theater. So I had some musical theater training, contemporary singing, and jazz. And then I did some off-Broadway shows after graduation. And then in 2022, I directed, produced, and starred in my own romantic short film called Rory Home, and we won 17 awards for that. And yeah, and I had the privilege to sing at Carnegie Hall, which was such a dream come true, and also working with Armand. My feature film debut, Don Q. And yeah, I'm just feeling very blessed for everything that coming along the way, and learning from people who are not just talented, but also kind-hearted creatures that really, influenced me to become a better person and wanting to do the same thing for others.
It's fantastic. And, the beauty of it is when you get started early in the arts, it makes a tremendous impact, I've learned, with a lot of people. So I'm a big fan of the arts. As I said, I grew up, as I told you too, in a neighborhood in South Philly, in the Italian market area where, we had Mario Lanza, we had a lot of different operatic voices and people. That influence was big. So I have a deep appreciation myself for opera. I think it's a beautiful thing. And it goes hand in hand with the theater and off Broadway, and of course with the big screen. So everything's very much connected. So So how did you get here? Now, you started out in China. Did your parents move here? Did you move here? How did you get to New York?
No, I'm the only one here. And I came here when I was 18. My parents, all my family members are in China. They don't speak English either. So I'm kind of like the child that was very different from my family. Yeah, I wanted to come to New York ever since 5. I watched so many Hollywood films and Disney animations, and I saw Spider-Man on screen saving people in New York City, and I just wanted to be in the city that he saves. Yeah, and just seeing New York on screen when I was little, and I just, in some way, I knew I wanted to be there someday. And so I made it. And I think it's not easy. I think New York is a city that it takes a certain type of person and tenacity to survive here. And I also want to thank my parents for supporting me in an emotional way, spiritual way, because I don't think I'm able to make it through so many years without them. And they're like my best friends, even though we're, an ocean apart, ocean away, but they're my best friends, and we talk almost every day, and they know what's going on in my life, and they have always been there for me.
And that's fantastic. And, to have that, you need that support system. And it's tough. It's horrible in a lot of ways, especially during the holidays. You miss your family. It's a tough, grueling. And I understand that experience too. My parents had moved back to Italy. So even though they were immigrants here, they wound up moving back. So I went through many years without my parents under my roof. But that's the thing about it too. It's a great immigrant tale, right? How did everybody get here, and the struggles and the pain. Thankfully, these days we can pick up a phone and we can call them. Years ago, you used to have to send a letter. Who knows how many weeks that would take? So, thank God for technology in that sense. Um,
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about New York, though, as Frank Sinatra so eloquently said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Tough city. And it either makes you tougher or you just crumble. And obviously, you're making it happen. So I give you a lot of respect for that.
Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate.
And I love it there. I don't get there up there as much as I'd like to, but it's very close. I can jump on a train. I'm there within an hour and 15 minutes, and I get off, and I'm excited, and I feel like this little guy in this big city, and it's Philly's a big city too, but maybe 1/5 of what New York is. And but it's always I have a lot of friends there. I've developed a lot of relationships, and it's a very high paced, intense situation there. But it's a lot of action. That's where the action is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've been to Philadelphia once. Yeah, I
Oh,
actually,
good.
I know this is kind of off topic, but I had a T-Rex, a stuffed animal T-Rex. I got it from Philadelphia Zoo, and I love him very much.
The Philadelphia Zoo, that was the first zoo in the entire country. It was the first one they ever made, believe it or not. And I remember for many years, let's see, I'll give a shout out to a person who's no longer with us, but Frank Palumbo was a restaurateur, and he had a boarding house for Italian immigrants in the Italian market. And he actually saved the zoo because at one point they were going bankrupt, maybe like, I don't know, 50s or 60s. But good little side note about the Philadelphia Zoo. And of course, Philly's got a lot of arts. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of arts here and of every type, really. So now, Genevieve, let's go back to you. So you again, you did this great movie. You did a great job opposite Armand. How was it working with Armand Assante? How was it, one on one with this tremendous legend?
It's amazing. I mean, just I think knowing Armand as a person is just an amazing thing, you know? I learned so much from him. I mean, I've always dreamed of working with talented, amazing artists, and he's not only that, but also someone who has such a big heart. And he always made me feel included in the room, and he take care of others. He treat everybody equally, which is something that I admire so much. He treats all the cast members, the director, the producer, also the pizza delivery guy. It's all the treat everybody equally, and that's something that I deeply respect, and I want to do that for others as well. And I would say in the film, the first scene that was shot was actually the one where I wore the fiery gown, the red gown, and it was just such a haunting experience in a good way because we were playing the waltz, the music, and we were just fully soaked in the music, and the fireplace was like near us. It was so hot. And Armand, I was just observing him. Armand was doing three things at the same time, which is, one, leading me with a dance, and then also being in character. And all I had to do was just look at him and then respond and just trust. And he really trusts that I could really deliver it. Like, he trusts whatever crazy choice that he made, I'm able to take it and then give it a go. And I love the trust that he gave me. And he was also very aware of how the camera, because the cameraman was like holding it on his shoulder and was moving it with us. So he was very aware of how the camera was moving and to pull us closer and further away. So he knows what kind of image he wants to create on the screen. And I thought that was very masterful. And yeah, we only did like 2 takes for that whole scene, and it was really unforgettable memory. And I love my character in the movie. I think she's like, I would describe her as a stranger's smile. So sometimes you have had a bad day and you walk on the street and you're just like, life sucks. And then all of a sudden you meet a stranger, maybe you're waiting for the red light, and the stranger looked at you and just smiled. And in that moment, it just suddenly, your world lights up and you're like, life isn't that bad. Like, there are beautiful little things that we could discover. And I think Li Ming, my character, she is like that to Armand's character. And she was this light in a world of filth and darkness and greed. And yeah, I love that she exists that for Armand's character, because he is having a really tough life in the film.
Yeah, and I don't want to give too much away because it is a great movie. I recommend everybody watch it. But Yeah, and I think that's a great way to put it. A stranger smile, and it's true. In life, sometimes you're having a tremendously bad day, and you're thinking about, and you're just so down, and something really nice happens. Maybe it's a child who gives you a little flower, or something. You cross somebody you haven't seen in a while, but there's always something that kind of it's almost like someone up there is looking out for you, trying to put a smile on your face. Let me ask you this then. And by the way, you said something that really hit home for me is he understood where the camera was. And I think that a lot of great actors and actresses, that's what kind of separates the pros from the maybe from the average person. They under the spatial awareness of how the camera moves, where it's at, and where you're at in relation to it. So yeah, there's a symbiotic relationship that has to happen with the camera and the actor. So that well, just again shows you what kind of a tremendous actor he is. In New York now, what are you keeping yourself busy with? What are some things that you're maybe interested in doing, and what's coming up?
I would say I am so in love with singing right now. I'm always like loved singing my whole life, but I'm spending time learning jazz and pop and R&B nowadays. I just love it so much. And yeah, and I practice in my bathroom. I call it having bathroom concert, and it's just singing makes me so happy. And enjoy the snowstorm in New York because we haven't had snow for a real long time. I have two performances coming up in February. One is at Kaufman Music Center, and I'm also having a jazz performance with my fellow singers. Also, just keep auditioning and keep learning and I describe this as dancing in the mud because life is messy and you throw things at you. And I call that like mud. You're just trying to figure out, and it's not smooth, but you learn to dance with it. You learn to have fun in midst of all chaos and pain and find the beauty in those moments.
Excellent, well said. And I'll tell you, as far as being an artist, I think it's beautiful that you have so many dimensions to you. And a true artist, I think, does try to search for different sort of ways to express themselves, whether it's singing, whether it's an instrument, or whether it's acting. So it's great that you're exploring all those things, and it's great that you have the support of your family too, because it's really important. You could be a very lonely place being in New York and being on your own, and you try to build some friendships and try to make family out of friends, but it's important to have your family back home there in some way, at least encouraging you and showing you support. So that's big.
Yeah, it is. And I would also want to mention Armand has been like that kind of family to me. He made me feel seen and heard, and less alone in this world. And I also do want to mention, like, because I've worked as a judge for multiple film festivals in New York and New Jersey, and that has been a great experience for me just to witness other independent filmmakers, like, their work. And I'm so happy that independent filmmaking right now is, like, thriving, and to see that there are so many other artists out there working hard and making sure certain stories are told, that has been really encouraging. And I think witness other people's work also, feed me as well to be more courageous and putting myself out there.
And it's a great time, again, as I say in every podcast, it's a great time for independent movies. And I've done two shorts in the recent last year and a half, and I'm looking to do more stuff. And I think it's, what, there's a great community of people, especially, I mean, of course, it depends on where you're at, but especially in Philly, especially in New York, places where there's like sort of these urban centers, there's a great community of people that are just looking to do it for the love of it. It's not always about dollars and cents. It's about the love of, expressing yourself and the love of storytelling. And it's stressful, it's crazy, it's chaotic, but it's a lot of fun, as you know. In closing, Genevieve, any last things, any kind of recommendations you would like to give? Any maybe people that are in your situation? Maybe they're here alone, whether it's New York or some other place in this great country of ours. Any advice you would give to somebody who's kind of just a little bit of afraid, a little bit nervous, trying to get involved in doing something like you did?
Wow. I mean, you asked that question like maybe already made me feel emotional. I actually had this note like just written on my shelf. I can show you.
Sure.
It just like came up to me one day and I wrote it down. It says, I need you to hear the love and not bend down, my warrior. So that is something I think like I sometimes like things come up to me and I just write it down and I need to look at them often to remind myself. And I think what this sentence is to remind yourself like the love that you feel, like why are you doing this? Because sometimes we get so like inside of the game, we forget what is the root of the reason you started this journey. And I think it's important to look back on that moment, or to constantly nourish yourself with that love. The love can come from why you started. It can also come from like seeing love in other people. It can also come from like a new, like the curiosity you have around the world and the new things you discover in each day's adventure, and just constantly feed yourself off of that. Because I think just to do art is already a privilege. I know there are people in this world, in some parts of the world, where people want to pursue it, but they're not able to. So I feel like for whoever you are out there, if you have the ability and the freedom to pursue that, then go do it and really cherish that. Cherish to be alive. And I said, not been down, my warrior, because life is hard. And I actually have been very inspired by the film Troy. Brad Pitt was in it. And anyway, there are a few Greek warriors that has just been so inspirational to the little me. I remember I watched that when I was a kid, and it just like, I kind of feel like there's a Greek warrior living inside of me throughout this whole journey. And I really admire the courage that they show up. Not like everything is just going well, but in facing fear and adversity and still choosing to, keep going and to protect the ones you love. I find that spirit to, like, it touched me so much, and I love it, and it keeps me going.
That's beautiful. I would have to agree. I think what we're on the same page with what you're saying is, you need life is about growth, right? Not just physically, because that kind of happens automatically, but spiritual growth, intellectual growth, emotional growth. These are the growths that's the point of life, in my opinion. I don't think it's the accumulation of wealth or fame or fortune. I think it's more about growth and being able to be resilient and overcoming obstacles and living with things that you're not very comfortable living with, but you're strong enough to pull through and overcome them. So that's great. I love it. I love your story. I think you're an inspiration. Speak such beautiful English, and it's such a difficult language to learn. I mean, I was born here, and so I take it for granted. But it is. I know from my parents, haven't been immigrants. I understand it's difficult language, difficult environment. It's a way different environment than other places in this world. But I give you a lot of respect, a lot of kudos, and I'm sure you're going to inspire much more people in the work that you do. And just thank you for being with us and telling us your story.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, one now, finally, last but not least, where could everybody find you if they want to follow you online and kind of keep up to date with you?
So, yeah, people can follow me on Instagram at Jenichka, GENNICHKA. And I also have my YouTube channel. It's my name, Genevieve Shi. So I made some vlogs in the past. I have my own coaching business. I help Chinese people speak English with more grace and confidence so they can have bigger impact at workplace. And I also coach singers on voice technique. And so I make educational content on my YouTube channel. And I'm also doing some covers for music in recent days. And yeah, I haven't mentioned to you, like, I actually have been hosting some free workshops for my Chinese audience in New York, like live in person. That was like one of my dreams, which I crossed off. I am so happy I did it because I really wanted to like be in person to impact people and to encourage them to, you are here for a reason. You didn't come to America to be small. So, strive for excellence.
Very important. That's great. And that's very impactful. So awesome. And of course, we'll put links in the description box, which you can go ahead and find, and make sure you support, as I say all the time, make sure you support our guest. But really, I mean, she's wonderful. And if there's anyone out there that's looking to hire you, please, I recommend you highly. And you have a lot of great things going for you. So I look forward to keeping an eye on you. And please, you're always welcome to join us back and keep in touch with us. But in the meantime, our guest has been the wonderful Genevieve Shi. It's been my absolute pleasure talking with you, and I hope to catch up with you again real soon.
Thank you, Vinny.